Title: Jungkook's mom secretly appeared amidst thousands of audience. Tears flowed as her son sang, "Still with you," as that trembling hand in the crowd just another army light stick swaying to the rhythm? Or was it a mother silently breaking down as her son bared his soul on stage? What no one saw coming was about to become one of the most talked about moments in BTS history. And it started with a single camera shot that changed everything. That on June 13th, 2025, a city long known for its quiet cultural elegance, Goyang, turned into the emotional epicenter of the K-pop universe. The date wasn't chosen by chance. It marked exactly 12 years since the world was first introduced to BTS, the 7-member group that would go on to redefine the boundaries of music, art, identity, and youth. But among the lights, cheers, and the sonic waves of celebration, something happened that wasn't choreographed, wasn't announced, and wasn't even supposed to be noticed. The event was J-Hope's Hope on the Street tour final, the culmination of his solo world tour, a triumphant return to the stage after completing his mandatory military service in October 2024. But it quickly became more than a solo milestone. It transformed into an unexpected reunion when Jeon and Jungkook joined him on stage to perform Jamais Vu. The crowd erupted, and history began writing itself in real time. But even then, not everyone knew they were about to witness something even more personal. Something that didn't require stage lights to shine. It was during Jungkook's solo performance of Still With You, a song deeply personal to him and to every fan who's followed his journey, that the cameras panned over the crowd, perhaps unintentionally, revealing a woman who didn't carry a sign, didn't wear flashy BTS merch, and didn't scream like those around her. She just stood there, still, hands trembling, eyes glassy. And that was when the truth hit like a tidal wave. That was Jungkook's mother. She had come in secret, not as a VIP, not even through the backstage door, but as a face in the crowd. A mother who simply wanted to watch her son not as a global star, but as the boy she once sang lullabies to. How do we know it was her? Observant fans noticed the camera briefly fixated on her, almost as if fate wanted that moment to be preserved. The expressions, the subtle resemblance, and the undeniable emotion all told the same story. Some fans posted screenshots online with captions like, "She's not just any fan. That's his mom. I know it." Others confirmed with older photos from past family events and rare public appearances. In a matter of minutes, the fandom had quietly and respectfully pieced together the confirmation, but no one expected what came next. As Jungkook continued singing the words, "Still With You," with a voice thickened by barely contained tears, his gaze swept over the crowd and stopped. It wasn't dramatic. There was no break in the music, but his voice faltered just slightly, barely noticeable to an untrained ear. Except ARMY isn't untrained. They noticed. And in that microsecond, something shifted in his expression. He saw her, and oh, confetti, no smoke machine, no pre-recorded message could match the rawness of that moment. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, often known for his flawless performances and incredible composure, stood vulnerable. It wasn't just about a song anymore. It was about a life lived in front of cameras, under lights, and away from the warm comfort of home, and the woman who helped him get there. Behind the stage, several staff members reportedly froze. One backstage coordinator allegedly whispered, "He saw her. Oh my God, he saw her." Those words, shared in a behind-the-scenes vlog that was later uploaded and quickly deleted from a crew member's private account, sparked widespread speculation. Was her appearance planned? Was Jungkook told? And most importantly, why now? Some say it was a surprise arranged by J-Hope himself. Others believe it was her decision alone. After years of watching from a distance, never stepping into the spotlight, Jungkook's mother may have felt the pull of this anniversary moment. The reunion of members, the weight of a milestone, the vulnerability in her son's latest work, because Still With You isn't just a love letter to fans. It's a declaration of longing, of absence, of people who are far but always near. People like her. What followed was a visible shift in the concert's emotional tone. Jungkook finished his performance without faltering again, but when he bowed, the camera caught it. the unmistakable streak of tears down his cheek. He didn't explain. He didn't need to. The crowd, momentarily stunned, erupted in an even louder cheer, not just for his performance, but for the emotional courage it took to hold everything together. Backstage, Jeon was reportedly seen embracing Jungkook tightly, his expression somber. J-Hope, ever the emotional pillar of the group, was caught wiping his eyes while trying to smile. It wasn't just Jungkook's moment anymore. It was a moment for all of them, a reminder of why they started, what they sacrificed, and who still waits for them behind the fame. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #Jungkook's mom, #StillWithYouLive, #BTS 12th anniversary, and #GoldenMagnateers trended globally within minutes. One fan tweeted, "I thought I came to a concert to scream. Instead, I ended up crying for a mother's love I've never even seen until now." Another posted, "This isn't just a concert. This is family reunion in disguise." The emotional impact of that night cannot be overstated. It wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't a scripted surprise. It was real, and that reality hit harder than any bass drop or choreography move ever could. What does this mean for BTS's future? That question lingers like a soft note at the end of a ballad. All members are now discharged or nearing the end of their service. This 12th anniversary was more than symbolic, it was prophetic. With all 7 present, even if not all on stage together at once, the dream of OT7 returning is closer than ever. Could this reunion, and the presence of family members like Jungkook's mother, signal a bigger moment approaching? A full group concert? A documentary? A tribute album? Fans are already speculating that June might be holding more than just Festa celebrations. The organizers in Goyang were reportedly instructed to prepare for unplanned appearances, suggesting that even more surprises might be lurking in the weeks to come. For now, one thing remains clear. On that stage in Goyang, something transcended performance. A mother's love, a son's silent acknowledgement, and a crowd of thousands holding their collective breath as a tear became more than just a tear. It became a memory etched forever in ARMY history. And when Jungkook whispered the final line, "Even if I walk alone, I'll still be with you," perhaps for the first time, he wasn't just talking to us, he was talking to her. After the concert ended and the lights dimmed, most of the crowd stayed still. They weren't rushing to the exits. They weren't taking selfies anymore. They were just still, processing. Replay looping in their minds. A whisper here, a choked sob there. Even after more than a decade of BTS magic, this was something different. It wasn't the choreography that left them breathless. It was the humanity. Fans left Goyang Stadium that night. Some walked in silence, holding their light sticks against their chest like a relic. Others were already live streaming, trying to put into words what couldn't be explained. Yet almost every voice that night kept circling back to that one moment, the woman in the crowd. And him, later that night, fan footage emerged online, shaky but clear enough to confirm what many had only hoped to be true. After the show, while most fans were heading toward exits, a small group of staff was seen discreetly guiding a woman out through a side section near the main arena. No security detail, no flash, just soft glances and quiet words. She bowed slightly to the staff members. One of them handed her a bottle of water. Another offered a comforting touch on her shoulder. It was her, and suddenly, every lyric from "Still With You" sounded different. Every word, every pause. It was no longer just a melancholic anthem written in solitude during BTS's break. It became a message to someone who had watched him sacrifice childhood for stadiums, who had watched him chase stars while sleeping alone in trainee dorms, who had watched him from behind the glass of fame and knew that sometimes the brightest lights cast the loneliest shadows. And now, she had seen him again. Not from a backstage screen, not from a hotel monitor, but in person, in the middle of the crowd. Like any fan, like any mother desperate to be part of her child's story. Even from a distance, people started asking, was this the first time Jungkook's mom had seen him perform live since BTS debuted? No one could answer with certainty. She had been mentioned a few times in interviews over the years. Once, Jungkook smiled and said that she always reminded him to drink more water and rest. Another time, he confessed during a V-Live broadcast, "I always miss my mom most when I'm sick." But actual sightings? Almost none. She had remained respectfully away from the spotlight, never using her son's fame for attention. That night in Goyang, that silence broke. Not because she spoke, but because she showed up. Insiders close to Big Hit reportedly stated anonymously that her presence wasn't coordinated with the company. She bought her own ticket. One crew member claimed she didn't want anything special. She just said, "I just want to hear him sing live. I'll sit anywhere." Let that sink in. The mother of one of the world's most beloved global icons didn't even ask for front row. There's something hauntingly beautiful about that. A reminder that underneath the glamour, the army bombs, the stage pyrotechnics, and the millions watching around the world, there are still parents out there who see only their child. A child who used to run around the house barefoot, who cried when he couldn't reach the top shelf, who once told her in trembling voice, "I want to be a singer." And what about Jungkook? How did he process all this? Sources say he didn't go out with the others after the concert. While V, Jimin, and RM were spotted grabbing a late meal together at a well-known Korean barbecue spot in town, Jungkook was nowhere to be seen. One bodyguard assigned to him told an online fan community that the idol had gone somewhere quiet. Another report, unconfirmed but widely circulated, claimed he had driven out alone for a night drive along the river, a habit he's mentioned in past interviews when overwhelmed or emotional. Some believe he met his mother backstage after the show. No photos have surfaced, no official comment, but some armies believe that's the way it should be. Private, sacred, untouched by the flashing lights that usually follow him everywhere. What Jungkook did post that night, however, spoke volumes. At 2:14 a.m. KST, he uploaded a photo on Weverse. It was simple, black and white, no filters. Just a shot of the Goyang sky above the stadium with a single caption, "Still with you, always." Nothing more.
No tags, no hashtags.
No emojis. It trended in 37 countries in under 10 minutes. And then came the theories. Not the crazy kind, not the invasive kind, but the heartfelt kind. Fans began noticing new meaning in lyrics from Jungkook's past works. Hidden codes? Foreshadowing? Perhaps. But maybe the truth was simpler. Maybe Jungkook had always carried her with him in every note, every breath, every performance. Maybe this song wasn't just a tribute to fans. It was a quiet love letter to the one woman who knew him before the world did. The one person he doesn't need to perform for. The one person whose presence, even in silence, can break him into pieces and rebuild him with one look. IT wasn't the only emotional moment of the night. Of course, the Jemevu reunion performance with J-Hope and Jeon left even the most stoic armies weeping. Jeon, recently discharged and still glowing from his solo fan concert, looked older but somehow softer. J-Hope, sharp as ever, wrapped with that signature fire. Jungkook, standing between them, looked like the youngest again, but with the weight of years in his eyes. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. These were not boys anymore. These were men who had gone through military duty, public scrutiny, separation, and silence. Yet here they were, singing about things that repeat, about time that never seems to move forward, about the pain of knowing and not knowing at the same time. What they didn't sing, but alluded to, was the grief of moments lost. And perhaps, that night, Jungkook regained one. By the end of the show, as confetti rained and J-Hope shouted, "BTS forever," into the mic, the crowd cheered louder than ever. But amid the storm of noise, the most powerful moment was one not seen on the stage, but in the stands stood a woman.
No lipstick, no camera.
Just her heart, full, and her son, singing unknowingly or knowingly, just for her.